Hi, and welcome back to Inspired Alchemy with Lizzie. This is episode 39. And today I want to talk about a couple of things, actually. And part of what I want to talk about is something that has been a big theme in my life lately and in other people's lives, and has been a theme in the Inspired Alchemy Collective, things that we have been talking about in terms of grief and how it shows up and how it will affect the body and how it will slow you down and that kind of thing. I'm also going to talk about some of the health things that I've had going on as a 40-year-old turning 41 and how that is causing me to have to slow down and it how parenting kind of falls into that. And there might be some other things that I throw in here and there. But yeah, that's going to be today's episode. And how I'm going to go about talking about this, I don't know. But just like all the other times, we'll make it happen. So, the first thing I want to talk about is grief and alchemizing that and allowing yourself to rest in when you're feeling those things. And grief doesn't necessarily come from when somebody dies. Grief can come in all kinds of forms, and it can hit you at weird times, and it can be for things that you might not even feel like that it doesn't belong together. And one of the biggest things that I've been noticing lately, and some of the things that I've had to do in the past in terms of grieving, is grieving the way you believe life should be. Sometimes we have to let go of the notion of and the ideas of how we wish life would have gone, or how we think it should be. And we have to look at it for what it is and make the best of it for what it is. And that moment, and each and every moment. So, for example, when I got pregnant with my daughter and I had this as she was growing up and she loves nature and everything, I was like, okay, I want to get a piece of land and I want to have animals and I want to make tinctures and fresh bread and I want to learn how to do all of these things. But that's not what life has in store for us. My daughter is a circus performer, and living out in the middle of nowhere is not going to be conducive to what she has in her plans for her life. So when you're co-creating, you can't just go with what you want. You have to determine what's going to be best, not just for you, but for your kid and for your family. And that's not going to necessarily look like what society says is right all the time. And that's okay. It doesn't have to. These societal constructs were built to kind of keep us caged and boxed in, thinking that we have no other choices. But being a human is incredibly complex, but simple at the same time. And that might not make sense. But let me explain. Being a human, while we have all these complex emotions and complex things that happen within us, we try to make life way too complicated because of all these rules that have been written by society. But if we look at society, are we really happy with it? And I've talked about this before. So why not think outside the box? And while it might seem complicated to do that, life becomes a little bit more simple if you just say, you know what? I see this for this thing for what it is instead of what I wish it to be. Now, how can I compromise and co-create with these people around me to fulfill what I want and to have their needs met? And it takes a lot of maneuvering sometimes. And in those times where you're like, damn, I really wish life would have been this way, or this is not turning out at all like I expected, there's a point in time where there's going to be grief. And I've had to grieve these different things, and I've had to grieve these versions of myself that I wish I could have been, and step into who I'm actually becoming. And I've talked about this on other episodes as well, grieving these different parts of myself that weren't really me in the first place. And I'm also grieving becoming who I am, because a lot of the things that I'm learning about myself and who I am becoming are actually things that I was scared of. So sometimes becoming your most or the best version of yourself takes a grieving process as well. And it's kind of hard to explain. Again, I am actively processing why I'm speaking these things. And I just do things, so it's kind of hard for me to explain, but I promise I'm getting better. And I know I keep saying that, but I promise I'm really trying. And a lot of grief comes that we don't even realize, where there are different things, like the way that we were brought up, or different aspects of life that have kind of like hit us hard, or patterns or whatever. Sometimes we have to grieve our self-sabotaging patterns, because those are the things that have kept us safe. And that might sound really weird, but if you allow yourself to grieve them and go, you know what, I don't need these anymore, I don't need them to keep me safe, then it's, for me personally, it's easier to move forward. And then I turn all of these things, and I turn them into something creative, something I can help others with, or something beautiful. And that's happening now as I am moving through all of these different phases of my life. And my daughter, she is turning 15, and she is just now going into high school. And I'm going to be grieving the old parts that were working before, to create space for the new way we're going to have to do things as she gets busier, and kind of try to rework our schedule. So things might not be as flowy, but I will try to create that flow in a different way, to compromise. And grief can be a very beautiful thing. And I know, again, that might not make sense, but you can find so many beautiful things in the process. So many things you might not have thought of before. And it's how you alchemize all of these things. And so people grieve differently. Some of us cry, some of us write, some of us do art, some of us go to the batting cages, some of us go to, what are they? They're like Wreck-It rooms. Oh my God, I know they have a name, but that's not it. But you know what? I think you know what I'm talking about. Some of us go running, some of us work out, some of us do all of these things. And it's different for everybody, and that's okay. Also, when we are doing all of these things, and this is not necessarily grief, but grief can be tied into it, as we are growing and expanding and evolving, our energy and our spiritual evolution can come way quicker than our body. And I've talked about this before, like, I don't understand why things are happening the way that they're happening to my body. And while, yes, some of it, a lot of it is physical and just aging and things like that, I realize that I'm moving so quickly sometimes that my body doesn't have time to catch up, even though I'm doing the things, right? So again, I'm going to have to restructure my days. I'm going to have to restructure the way that I eat. I'm going to have to go, I don't have to do anything. These are things that I want to do in order to be the best version of myself. I'm going to set up myself for a nutritionist, and I am going to start working out more in different ways to try to help my body process whatever is happening. A lot more movement. And it's it's going to be challenging. I understand completely. This is going to be a very challenging change. But I'm okay with change. Because I need my body to catch up with what I'm doing. Because if I'm not taking care of myself and I am not realizing that my body is not catching up as quick as I'm moving emotionally, mentally, spiritually, energetically, that's going to cause a problem. A lot of things in your body can be stored, a lot of emotions can be stored, and that's all energetic. And they can cause physical problems. And as I'm moving into my 40s, my body is changing. And so I have to find a new way to support that so that I can keep going, so I can keep serving, so that I can keep living my life to the fullest. And my daughter's coming into her age where I have to figure out the same thing for her. And when we start to realize that our body is maybe a little bit behind, we have to decide what we need to do. Do we need rest? Today I needed rest. And I've just been going. And I haven't had time to actually rest and kind of integrate what has been going on and how I'm going to move forward. So I need to allow myself that time. And something that my daughter said, and I'm not going to put her information too much out there, but it's when she's having a hard time sometimes during her cycle, there are times where I was like, okay, and this has been since the beginning. I'm like, hey, why don't we go outside? And that's the only thing that kind of calms her nervous system. We lay on the ground and she does fall asleep out there. And so today, this is one of the harder cycles that I've had because yes, I've been under stress. Yes, my body is aging. So it is changing and it's doing things. And sometimes your stress that you've had can show up 3 months afterwards in your cycle. So a good person to talk to about this is Amy Linnaeus. She's fantastic with hormones. And if you don't know who she is my best friend. And she is great. And she has all these different goodies for like hormonal stuff. So you can go find her on Instagram. And she's also an amazing holistic coach. But I digress. My daughter's like, hey, Mom, have you tried going outside and grounding yourself today? Because she saw that I've been struggling the past couple of days with my cycle. And I was like, actually, no, I haven't done that. She's like, why don't we go outside? Why don't you go ahead and go step on the grass? And I was like, see, when you don't think your kids are paying attention, when you don't think that they're processing things that you're doing with them or telling them, they really are. You have to trust in them. And when they tell you something, like I know a lot of people will get mad, don't tell me what to do, but no, I listen to my daughter. My daughter is wise, she's smart. She might be a teenager, but she's still an amazing human being and she tells me how it is sometimes. And you know what? I need that. She's learning from me and sometimes I need the reminder. And so I go outside. I put my feet on the ground and my hands on the ground and I automatically felt a shift deeper than I've ever felt before. And that was insane. And so I needed it. And a lot of my pain went away. And I know that sounds crazy to some of you. Some of you will understand. But our bodies are naturally meant to be in nature. When we are stuck in our homes, stuck in our houses, stuck in cubicles, stuck in cars all day, our bodies don't get to connect with the earth like it's supposed to. There's a reason why people do forest bathing. There's a reason why people feel alive when they connect to nature, when they go for a walk and they're like, oh my God, that was great. It's because we are meant to be in nature. And so that actually helped me a ton. So my daughter is super smart, and she reminded me of something that I've been doing with her for years, and I'm grateful. I also want you to know that it's okay to not know what's next. It's okay to not know what you're doing. It's okay to be confused. None of us know what we're doing. I don't care if you're 20, 30, 40, 60. We're all growing at different rates, and that's okay. And you don't have to have it all figured out. All you have to do is continue to follow your soul, follow the next right steps. And if something says you have to start again, then do it. If something says that you need to go for a walk, do it. Alignment is not going to always make sense. And sometimes alignment means that you're going to grieve other things that were once part of your alignment, were also once part of alignment, but they no longer are. And we have to allow ourselves to feel these things in order to move forward. And I know this is probably a shorter one today, but I think that's all I have for you. As my brain is now shutting down, as you heard me say brown instead of brain. I hope that, again, me sharing my story helps at least one person not feel alone. This is Inspired Perpetual Alchemy. And if that means rest, it means rest. If it means listening to your gut, listen to your gut. If that means listening to music and dancing around like so nobody's watching, even though people are watching, just do it. And alignment's not going to always be easy. And sometimes alignment, even though it feels right, is just also going to be hard. And that's okay. And sometimes there is alignment that just flows and it just makes sense. And even the alignment that's hard will feel like it makes sense, even though logically it doesn't. That's all me rambling for today. Just remember you're not broken, and don't let anyone and don't let society feel like you are, make you feel like you are, because you're not. Just keep growing through the things and through the hard moments, and you'll find yourself. You'll find your pieces. And the more whole you become, the more freedom it will feel like, even though things might be challenging at sometimes. It's okay if you need to reschedule things. It's okay if you need to say, you know what, I don't want to go to that movie. It's okay to say no. And it's really okay to say yes to the things that you want to. But yeah, that's all I have for you today. If you want more of these conversations, we're getting more active in the Inspired Alchemy Collective. If you want more like-minded people, or you just want to learn more, or you need a space where it feels safe, feel free to come and check us out on Facebook, or you can reach out to me on Facebook or on Instagram. And yeah, that's all I have for you today. Sending so much love to anybody who needs it. I know things are challenging right now. Keep creating alchemy. You've got this.